Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. A good Vach, a good year, to everybody. I'm sure everybody's Rosh Hashanah was meaningful, full of blessings, and full of trust that we're going to have a good, sweet year. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zrich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome Davida and Liba in New York. Robert, shalom to you in Boston. Anna in New York, hello. And Usher is with us in Tennessee. TJ, all the way in Australia, welcome, good evening. Julie in Florida is with us. John is with us in North Carolina. Oh, very good. Spent with Chabad. Beautiful. Virginia in Calgary. Welcome. Casey is with us from Missouri. David in California, rather, bright and early. Andrea in Phoenix. Boker Tov. Tim in Texas, welcome. Marjan, welcome. Oh, Marjan saw my daughter in shul yesterday. Beautiful. All right. That's wonderful. Erica in Norway, shalom. Clem in Brisbane, welcome. Estella is with us in somewhere where they speak Spanish. June in Australia, welcome. Anna in Budapest, good afternoon. Who else is with us? Roy in Spain. And Denia, I'm sure I got that wrong. Welcome. Alice in Baltimore. We have on Clubhouse, we have Earl, Vilma, Marcy, Liana, Selena. Thank you, Selena, for your sharing with me. Sina, Michael, David, Tim, Imam, Andra, Winston. Who else is with us? And we have on Instagram also Yocheved, Yenta Talamenta, Sarah, Akoy, Linda. Okay. And so today we will have 3 parts to our class. 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, and of course today. All right, so let us begin. We continue in the 19th letter. As we spoke in the previous class, the Arizal explains that Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest of all prophets, Moses, grasped only the external aspect of Chachma, of divine wisdom. That's what he apprehended as it came down, vested itself in divine emotions, and particularly Netzach Hod Yesod Malchus, Nehim, the acronym. Endurance, humility, foundation, connection, and sovereignty, without going into the details, something we've done in the past. As opposed to the Arizal himself, the Alter Rebbe says, explained much deeper levels in the divine order of things, apprehended it. Now, how's that possible? That the Arizal or Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and the Zohar or other great mystics, great sages, they were able to apprehend more profound levels in the divine order of things? How do we understand that? So that's the question that we That's the question that we dealt with previously. And now the Alter Rebbe will provide an explanation for this. Give me a moment. Sorry. The Alter Rebbe says the explanation is pretty plain and clear. A simple explanation. Because there's a great difference between the Kabbalists and the prophets. Because the prophets actually had a vision of the divine. Seeing, which means grasping the essence. As when you see something, you grasp the essence of it. Comprehension, though, is merely grasping its externality. That is the basic difference. It says, you shall only see my back. And we just said that the back means that God said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you will only see my back, which means the externality of the divine. Well, what it means, the difference between comprehension and seeing, understanding something with your mind, right, as opposed to seeing something. And when we say about seeing the divine, we don't mean actually seeing physically with the flesh of the eye. But just as seeing is believing, in other words, seeing means it's revealed. Godliness was revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu, to other prophets, as it says about Abraham, that God appeared to him. It doesn't mean he appeared to him. He didn't appear to him in a physical form that he could see. What it means is it became manifest, it became real, which just means it is much more of a real experience, as opposed to when you comprehend something with your mind, it's not as real to you. So this is what the Kabbalists or the sages were able to apprehend, deeper levels of the divine, but not in a manner of that it was tangible, that it was like seeing something physical. They merely heard about those matters. They didn't truly see them. They didn't truly see them. Well, with this, then we understand why the sages say that a sage is superior to a prophet, because their wisdom can apprehend levels of the divinity that are far, far above and beyond than those that can descend through revelation of prophecy to a prophet. So, yes, they apprehend deeper, more profoundly, but it's not as real to them as the revelation of God to the prophet. Hence, lower levels of the divine order, the external of Chachma, which vests itself, as we said, into Nihim, Netzachod, Yesod, Malchus, become revealed to the prophet, an actual revelation. An actual revelation. Likewise, when we speak about Torah, it also comes from Chachma, and what descends and comes down, invests itself in the divine wisdom, is the external aspect of the divine wisdom that descends into this world, invests itself into that which is of this world. Inherently, though, it's something beyond our understanding, as Chachma is something beyond understanding. And even though it vests itself into understanding, whatever we understand, oh, sorry, 1 second. No, I'm sorry. That's later. No, I'm sorry. So, Chokhmah, Torah that is of Chokhmah, so Chokhmah itself transcends intelligence. It's a source of intelligence that transcends it. So whatever intelligence and understanding we have, whatever understanding that we have of something of Torah is not that you can't define, oh, this is what this mitzvah means, this is what this idea is. No. Ultimately, it transcends. Transcends understanding. Yet, the sages were able to bring it to understanding. The same thing is when it comes to every word that's uttered by the prophets that's recorded in the Torah. Even if it was an admonishing the people. Admonishing the people, so you might think, well, that's a historical record of what was done, like Jeremiah, going to Nineveh to admonish the people. So it's not only history, because this is part of Torah, therefore it's part of divine wisdom. And part of divine wisdom means it is transcending the understanding that we have, our comprehension. And we see that in the Torah itself, that we have some letters that are written one way, but verbalized another way. In other words, when you verbalize something, you get, that's the comprehension. What you see is beyond that. What you see is beyond that. But you don't read it that way because you don't comprehend it that way. So that's called kri and ksiv. Kri means the way it's written, like kriya. Ksiv, ktiv.
Benjamin Bressinger
Is then and ksiv, like tav, is the way it's written. So it's written differently than it's read, because the written of it is the visual of it that's beyond comprehension. Then the reading of it is the way you hear it. That is comprehension. So what we see over here, there is two aspects to Torah, as we just spoke about two aspects of, the sage, the Kabbalists versus the prophets. The prophets see, the sages hear and understand. Likewise, in Torah we have that. We have that which you see, which transcends understanding, Chachma. Then you have that way, the way it comes down into Torah, or rather it comes down into comprehension as it vests itself. Okay, let's take this apart a bit and to understand. So what do we have over here is sight and hearing. Which one's greater? The prophet who has a vision, or the sage who has an understanding? So it depends. If it's about making an indelible mark, so then, vision makes more of an indelible mark on the individual. You saw it, seeing is believing. So in that respect, prophets are greater. But when it comes to understanding things, it means it has to become internalized. When you see a prophetic vision, or you see anything, take you see something, right? What does it mean that you see it in relationship to you? It's beyond you. It's not you. It's something outside of you. And it remains outside of you until you understand it and comprehend it, right? But that's another part. But the actual vision of something is of something outside. So it may be more tangible because you're seeing the essence of the thing. Fine. But it remains not you. As opposed to when you grasp it with your mind, comprehension, you hear it. So what you're hearing is not as as real, but what happens is it's becoming now, when you hear something, it's entering your ear, it's entering your mind, that you now have to understand it with your mind. When you understand it with your mind, what happens? You have an ownership to that which you understand, that which you apprehend. It's yours. When you see it, it's not yours. Remember, these things cross over. And when you see something and afterwards you mull over what you saw and you try to comprehend it and understand it, right? That's already comprehension. That's not seeing anymore. So, so the sages say that that is greater because you have the ownership. And not only do you have ownership, but you're able to understand now even more deeply. It's like, you saw, to give you an example. You saw a scene of something, and it was very real to you. You saw whatever afterwards, you mull it over in your head, and you go over it, and now you're taking it apart. Now you're taking apart things that, when you saw it, you kind of saw the whole picture. You didn't take apart when you're taking it apart in details, mulling it over. That's already in your comprehension. That's not already in sight. Okay, it's based on what you saw, but it's a different manner that we deal with it. And we kind of make sense out of it. We integrate it. When you see something, not necessarily makes sense. It is what it is. The other day, something happened, and I said to somebody, da da da, this would happen. So that doesn't make sense. Well, but yeah, okay, but that's what I saw. Yeah, but how could that be? Okay, and then you can try to take it apart and and how could it be, and then try to understand. But when you're seeing it, you're not making sense of it. It is what it is. But it's tangible. So that's the difference. A prophet sees what it is, and that's it. It's beyond, transcends. The sage integrates it and brings it in, and therefore can go more deeply in understanding and actually owning it. That's the uniqueness over here, the difference. Torah has both elements, as we will see in a moment more.